In 1619, a European ship landed in colonial Virginia with an unexpected cargo. At least 20 enslaved Africans, the first in America. These captives, from what is now the country of Angola, had survived a treacherous Atlantic crossing, only to face more suffering, a fate shared by hundreds of thousands of other enslaved Africans in what became the United States. Records of the sale and shipment of Africans appear in many ledgers, telling a horror story of upheaval and exploitation. At Angola's National Museum of Slavery in Luanda, Director Vladimir Fortuna says the slave trade's legacy still haunts the country.
For almost 4 centuries, this country, this region that we know today as Angola, was heavily involved in these activities, and this country was harmed in every single aspect. The social fabric was destroyed, and today we live with the consequences of slavery.
Centuries of colonial rule combined with slavery fostered conflicts in Africa that increased poverty and instability, Fortuna says.
The slave trade destabilized African societies. It wasn't possible during the times of slavery and colonization for African societies to reorganize their political and labor systems. And sometimes people try to forget this part of the country's history. And that's why the National Museum of Slavery exists.
This small house and chapel overlooking the sea formed part of Luanda's slave trade. The beautiful view contrasts starkly with the deplorable experiences that happened here. In this building, captives were converted to Christianity before being sent to meet their fate as slaves in the New World. Through baptism, the Catholic Church stripped the captives of their African identity. Those who were detained in Angola were given Portuguese Christian names. They were baptized in big groups and were renamed if and when they reached a distant shore.
These people were baptized en masse.
Paulino Koteka is a priest in the coastal city of Benguela, south of Luanda.
In the past, the church and the state worked together, and the evangelization here in Angola served both the church and colonization, though that mix could be confusing.
Father Koteka says these conversions were both good and bad.
On one hand, it helped new converts embrace the gospel. On the other hand, it destroyed their identity and their culture. Many of them suffered because of this evangelization. That's why the church apologized later for these mistakes.
In 1985, Pope John Paul II asked Africans to forgive white Christians for their involvement in the slave trade. The Kwanza River, which empties into the Atlantic just south of Luanda, was an important trade route, and people who lived near its banks got swept up in the slave trade.
It was by the river where most of the slaves were captured. They were kidnapped, and it was done by the Africans as middlemen.
Hurt says slavery drained the region of precious human capital.
The workforce, the intelligentsia, the skilled people were taken from here. And today, we need this skilled workforce so that Africa can move forward to a better situation.
Portugal officially banned slave trafficking in 1836. But Angola is still trying to recover from its legacy. Maida de la Salette with Betty Ayub, VOA News, in Luanda, Angola.